Welcome everyone to another CTC software webinar. My name is Chris Bircher, Director of Technical Services here at CTC, and today we are going to give an overview of the Type Swapper application from the BIM Manager Suite, and just make sure you understand how it works and all the capabilities that it has. Before we begin, I want to encourage everyone to ask questions using the questions panel. I will be monitoring that during the presentation, and we'll make sure to answer those in line or take time at the end to answer anything that I missed. If you are watching the recorded version on our YouTube channel, please use the comments section below. We monitor those as well, and we'll make sure that if you ask questions that you will get answers. With that said, let's get into it. Now, in Revit, things are constantly deterring from our day-to-day workflow, whether as designers and Revit users or as BIM management, BIM coordinator, support role, what have you. And it takes our energy and our time away from doing our job and making putting together a quality document set and quality project. So things like, having to deal with duplicate families or dimension and textiles that come in or that are created that are unnecessary and or just flat out wrong, or bad materials that come in from a manufacturer family, but they're not your standard materials, or duplicated MEP system types, or duplicate viewports. The list goes on. AutoCAD layers and line styles and things of that nature. So today we're going to discuss how Type Swapper can assist in getting a lot of that stuff cleaned up, and how you can go ahead and use it as a repeatable process. And then at the end of the day, we'll show you how to get your hands on it. So for today, how Type Swapper works, we'll introduce you to the user interface, and then just walk you through how it functions, what it can do for you, and then how to kind of define somewhat of a repeatable process for all your projects or all your Revit files, and then additional resources. And if you're familiar with me, I don't like doing PowerPoint, so here we go. We'll just jump right into Revit. Okay, so the Type Swapper right here, as you see, is on the CTC management tabs underneath the CTC BIM Manager Suite product. And it's the one right here on the end. And, so before I really, I'll just show it real quick. So the interface is quite simple. It's broken up into a series of categories of elements that we can work on: duplicate families, dimension styles, text styles, line patterns, fill patterns, materials, MEP system types, and our viewports. And this tool is designed to help us get rid of the unwanted entities in these categories and replace them with ones that are either desired or are standard. Okay. Now, let me point out a few examples here that we're going to run into. So down here in my browser here, you can kind of see I've got some duplicates, right? I've got grid head circle 1 and keynote manual 1, view title 1. You may see things like call out 1, and really what it boils down to is, say you're loading stuff in from another project, whether it be a group or a series of drafting views or a sheet of details, and Revit throws that little pop-up warning down here that some of you may remember or have noticed. This family has been renamed to blah, 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 family 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. And that's it. It's a message. If you're not paying attention and you click once, it's gone. So and that's just something Revit inherently does. Type Swapper can help assist with that. And then at the same time, when you bring those in, the you could get unwanted text styles or old text styles and old dimension styles that maybe 10 years ago we used 3/32 aerial narrow, and today we're using 1/8 aerial. So it's entirely possible that your standard has changed or evolved over time. It's possible that a whole bunch of stuff came into your project that is unwanted. Or another example is an AutoCAD file was imported in. You know, people do this all the time where they go ahead and say, import CAD, there it is. And then they explode it. And, you know, for whatever reason that may be, right? You might be creating a detail. So you import an AutoCAD drawing, you explode it, and then you Revitize it, right? You want to replace the line styles with Revit line styles to delete the CAD stuff, or do the same thing with text and dimensions and fill patterns and what have you. TypeSwapper can assist with some of that, and maybe it happens inadvertently, or someone doesn't want to admit to doing it, which is fine. And we can at least go through and clean some of that up. So I'm going to show you how each of these tabs functions and what they do, and we'll just run through a few examples here. So let's just get after it. So with TypeSwapper, first thing I want to take care of are these duplicates, okay? Now, what's beautiful about this is that if there are duplicates in your project, the app will identify those and give you what it thinks the parent or the main type should be, or main family should be. And if it's not, for whatever reason, there should be options to change that within the list. But for the most part, it's doing a pretty good job of recognizing the duplicate family, if there are one, and what it should be associated with. So at this point, I've got no other work to do other than hit swap, and it's going to go ahead and do the swaps for me. So anywhere these are being used in my project, they are going to get replaced with these, and then I can delete the duplicates so that they're not inadvertently being used in my project. Because oftentimes what will happen is if I go place a keynote, in this case, I got keynote 1, I may not be able to see the entire family name, for example, especially when they start getting a little bit longer. That type selector dropdown doesn't exactly show you the full name all the time. So there'll be opportunities where you're grabbing the wrong one, which is unfortunate, but it happens. Happens all the time, to be honest. So even though the information is correct within the properties, you may be getting the wrong family. So this will help you clean that up real quick, very nicely. So I'm going to have, this is already all defined. I didn't have to do anything. I can check duplicate, delete my duplicates, hit swap. It'll ask me if I really want to delete something, and I'm going to say yes. So now that it's done, there's no more duplicates left, and you can look over here in my browser. Those are all gone already. So it's an instantaneous kaboom on my duplicates, which is fantastic. All right, jumping over to the Dimension Styles tab. Same idea, right? It's going to list the existing dimension types, so the families effectively found in your project, right? Which is what duplicate was doing. And at this point, it gives you the opportunity to decide which of these do I want to replace with something else. Now here, I have a bad one with nothing associated with it. So I can just turn around and delete this right now if I want to. But let's make an example. I'm going to take my good dimension style. I'm going to make it all bad just to show you how this works. So I'm going to switch it all. I'm going to take this dimension style, swap it to this one. And it does it. Now, all of my standard dimension styles have just become Arial 2, right? Which is a bad duplicate. Now it's possible, you may see this quite often, you see a duplicated dimension type or text type for that matter, because this functions almost in the exact same way. Maybe you want to replace that. You'll see it here. You'll have 253 of the standards and maybe 56 of the bad ones for whatever reason. That could have been, again, someone just duplicated for a couple of details, not knowing or thinking they were going to try to do something different with that dimension type, but they didn't need to, whatever the case may be. You can just do a quick switcheroo here, get them all back to the original, and then grab the one you don't want and hit delete. Now, I'm not going to do that, and I'm actually going to switch it back to show you something else that we haven't talked about yet. So, and that is with the saving and loading of selections. Now, what this means here is that if you are constantly running across this duplicate dimension type, and it's always linear, the size, the font style, and then 2 at the end. And people do it all the time. Or maybe there's a repeat offender and they like to throw their initials in there. Or maybe it's yourself. You do it yourself just for additional coordination and doing some markups, but you don't want to mess with the standard, for example. You can put in a selection or a swap setting and save that. By saving that, you can now load it back into this project or any other project so that you don't have to remember or go hunting for, say, linear aerial 2 to swap it with this and setting that up yourself. It'll just, if it's there, it'll do it. I'll show you what I mean. I'm going to set it back to no. And I've already done this. I'm going to load in a dimension style settings. And these are all, each tab that you have here can get its own setting and its own settings file, so that you're not, maybe you just worried about dimensions, you're not worried about text, but you have one where text is an issue somewhere else. It allows you to be more selective as to what you're working with here. And it loads my settings up and it knows, hey, right out of the gate, these need to be these. And now I can hit swap. It'll do the update. I can come back, grab Aerial 2, hit delete. I'm good to go. And if Sean would have synced Essential, I'd be good to go. So since he didn't, I'm not going to worry about it. But the same thing holds true with these other tabs, where I can save a selection so that it knows which tab or what swapping is happening, right? And I think that happens just about everywhere. Yes, it does. Now, one of the other things that I want to point out here, because effectively we're getting into a repeatable workflow here with, here's the type, here's how many there are, what do I want to do, or what do I swap it to? There's this approved column here. What this approved column is for is to show you or give you a visual indicator as to what are we trying, what's okay to have in the model, right? Is it okay to have 1/2-inch Arial fonts or 256 fonts, right? Is that something that's okay? And if it is, you can have a checkbox by it, and that way it's just a visual indication that, yep, these are my standards. Anything that's not checked is outside of the norm, and it may not need to be in my project. So we can set up default mappings for some of these things, and at the same time, you can save a set to load in. I've already done that, where I can load this one in, and now it knows this architext that's used a lot needs to be swapped. These two from a drafting view need to be swapped. And these are just exploded AutoCAD that were, I think it looks like it was exported out of Revit, imported back into this project, and then exploded. Why? I don't know. But that's kind of what it feels like by looking at the name. So a lot of this can just be done right here on the fly now. And if these didn't exist or didn't have anything to swap, there's nothing to swap, and it just goes that quick. But that's what this approved column is for. It's just a visual indication as to what is approved for the project or for the company. Okay, moving on down to the line styles area. Again, the same workflow applies. Here's what's existing. Here's how many times they're used. What are we doing with them? And there's the approved option here as well. And it's the same flow. You scroll down through here, you can find things that are coming from AutoCAD. For example, if AutoCAD was exploded, which this one was, you can take these and, oops, I clicked too far. Don't swap that, don't swap that, don't swap that. There's my node change. Take these and replace them with ones that make sense, like detail 1, if we need that. And here's another one that should probably be detail 1. And we're going to make this one detail 2. And this one is medium, so I'll put that at 3. And, you know, you may not have any clue what these layer standards are, or what the line style and the layer are and refer to. But if you do, because it came from your CAD drawings, then it's an easy transition. You know, it might be that we need to pop into the drafting views where these things are used and go ahead and do a little bit of work. Line weight 4 should be detail 4, and so on and so on. And then at this point, you can just hit swap, and if you want to delete stuff after the fact, go for it. Specifically with these line styles from an exploded CAD drawing. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And this is hitting every location in the model where these things live. The one thing I will point out is some of it represents all of the out of the box stuff, right? All the stuff that comes with Revit that we can't really do much with. It is reporting the sketch lines, which technically can be modified, but swapping those gets a little tricky. So I tend to recommend that you just do that on your own if you need to, because it's all part of one category, and the line styles within that sketch space effectively, you just have to edit the object to change the sketch lines. So this is reporting purposes only at this stage. Now, one thing that comes up every now and again is that line styles, and detail lines, model lines, what have you, or text and dimensions, and some of the duplicate families, depending on what they are, could live in a group or in a detail group, or for whatever reason, maybe they're pinned. There's a couple of options that I want to point out just so that you have them in your back pocket to be safe. Some of these, sometimes we can give you the opportunity to try to edit the group to make a swap, or unpin something to make a swap, and then the app will turn around and close the group or finish the group, or repin the element. So you can try it, right? So, and it will only apply to certain categories within the parentheses there. So pay attention, make sure you read the messaging before you do it and know what to expect. So for groups, it's only applying to the families and some of the styles. Pinning and unpinning only applies to line styles at this point. And that's just the nature of some of the performance and what's available via the Revit API. So just wanted to point that out and make sure you guys are aware that some of that is here. Now, probably one of my favorite pieces to this app right here is dealing with line patterns and potentially even fill patterns. And that is because when stuff gets exploded, or even just on an import, right, Revit records those line patterns and potentially even the styles. And those sometimes get used because people think that they know what that looks like, they're familiar with that. Maybe they decide to use it. In this case, like this one did. So I can quickly and easily delete all of those in one shot versus trying to get Revit to do it in the Revit windows manually. So I'm going to first swap this out so I'm not using it. But then what I can do is grab all these things that say import and then just hit delete. I can do it in one shot. Whereas if I were to go to the line patterns dialog, I have to click, select it, click delete, say, yes, I'm sure, and then hit OK, and then do it again. And I have to do that for each and every single individual line pattern. Here, I select them all, I click delete, I say, yes, we're done. So it's a lot easier and a lot faster to do it through the app than it is to do it through Revit's UI. The same goes for fill patterns. You know, files get exploded, patterns are being used wherever they may be used. And, you know, I know for a fact, you know, let me just back out real quick. I'm going to switch to a detail that I purposefully, oh, it already did it for me. Look at that. Well, let's switch to a different one then, and let's just make it happen. We'll go to this one. I'll hit explode just to show you what I mean. Okay, and now I've got these detail line styles. That's not what I wanted. Here we go. Let's blow this one up. Okay, and now I have this. It's not even fully exploded. Let's do it again. Let's do it again. Hold on. Full explode. All right. Now I've got these filled regions with these crazy names, but it's just JIP, right? So what I get to do within TypeSwapper is replace those with my JIP board pattern. Okay. So I know that this is part of this 2-hour rated wall at column partition detail. So I can go find it, and here they are. There's a bunch of them. So I can grab all of these and set them to be my JIP pattern, which is right there, right? And again, this can be saved as settings so that in case it happens again, and maybe you're doing a bunch of detail conversions, right? You're newer to the Revit game. You got to switch some stuff around. This is pretty common stuff for a firm just trying to get their detail library converted, or Revitized, as I like to say. So this is a quick thing that you can do and repeat rather easily, especially if you save these settings. Do that, and now it's done. I can hit swap. It'll replace them all. They're no longer being used, and then you can delete them. You move on. Happy day. And then I can now, because I did explode some new stuff, I'm going to have a number of these guys back in the mix, so I can switch these back over to my detail one. Hit swap. I've got a few more that I got to play with, but I can do that now with very little effort. And if I had saved my settings, I can just load those in, and away we go. Okay. Materials is the same thing. Again, I mean, it's all the same workflow, right, as we continue on. So let me switch over to a schedule view here quick and show you what I'm talking about. So I've got this schedule where I've got duplicate materials for whatever reason, whether it's because the finish, the appearance was changed, or Revit did its thing when I loaded in a family, and for whatever reason, it couldn't resolve the differences between the two and consolidate the name into one material. Whatever the case may be, there's a whole host of reasons why that could be the case. Excuse me. So what I'm going to do is jump to my materials tab and go find this WD1. And then because it is at the bottom of the list, I can sort these headers either to be A to Z or Z to A, to make it easier to track things down. And here I can find the funky material and switch it out for the good one. This one I do have to scroll down to the bottom, but that's okay. And there it is. Grab it and hit swap. And it's going to take and find the families where these materials are being used, replace them with the one that I told it to replace with. In some cases, you know, if you're dealing with type parameters and materials that are type properties, you might get prompted like, do you really want to do that? Because that's a standard Revit message. Likely I'm not getting it because about 30 minutes ago I did it and then just hit undo. So I've already told it I'm okay with that. Now, had it been just an instance, like a finish, which is in my case an instance property, it had just done it. But I could take all of these hollow metal ones and replace them with aluminum if I wanted to, pretty easily at this point. Or, maybe you find something that is a hollow metal from a particular manufacturer, but you just want it to schedule as, but it's scheduling that way, right? Like this one down here. Let's go find it. Metal. Oh, it's probably one of these actually. It is. I don't know which one it is. So we'll see if I can change them all. Nope. But effectively, you would set them all to be the material that you want and hit swap. Let me do one more here. Excuse me. And hit go. Let's see if I got lucky. Yep, I picked one of the right ones. So that's good. And then when you're done, if you want, you can delete the material that you're no longer using here. And you can go through, in this case, in some of these, give you the opportunity to delete stuff that's not actually being used. So it's almost like a built-in purge to an extent. So I caution against doing the unused one, just in case you're not sure if you need to use some of them or not. Otherwise, what I do recommend doing is knowing I just swapped this, I'm no longer using it, select it and say delete selected. But for the MEP system types, it's the same thing. Here's a list of the system classifications, the types within those systems, how many are being used, and what do you want to swap them to. This was a popular request from our MEP users out there, especially when we're trying to do some cleanup and potentially some consolidation of things. This is a great way to go ahead and take some of the duplicate, say, sanitary system types that get created when you draw something in. Maybe it created a system type that you didn't need it to, or you got ahead of yourself, and whatever the case may be. Here's a good way to do some cleanup. Last but not least is viewport types. This is another one where we get a lot of duplicates within the viewport type and such. And here, I can take the duplicates or the bad stuff, swap it out with what is my standard or what it needs to be, so that we're not trying to figure out which view in my project it is. Go find it, select it, change the property, or swap the viewport type on a sheet. The app just tells you where it is, allows you to get it cleaned up. Then you can grab the bad stuff and hit delete selected. And I didn't mean to check approved. Hold on, let me undo that. I meant to just select the two. Yep, let's just get them out of here. So that's type swapper. So there's a number of different workflows for various different reasons, right? Duplicates, both for families that come in from your drafting views or other details or things copied from one project to the next. Dimension and text styles that are duplicated by your user base because they thought they needed to do that for a particular reason, or yourself for a reason, and now you just want to get rid of it and you want to swap a few out to be the standard. Or you inherited a file that had duplicates in it. Let's just do some basic cleanup. Line styles and patterns, same idea. Let's clean things up. Really good at cleaning up exploded AutoCAD line work and patterns, getting them into the Revitized and your corporate standard delete stuff. Fill pattern, same thing. Really good at doing some basic cleanup from exploded entities. And then materials is great, dealing with your downloaded content that has materials that aren't what you would like to show up in your schedules potentially. And then, so MEP for MEP and dealing with the system content there, and everyone's favorite duplicate viewport types. So hopefully that you saw something in here that could be helpful, and you go ahead and request more or take a look. And so for some of you, you may already have it. Again, it's part of the manager suite. It's the one right here on the left, on the right. If you don't, and you want to give it a shot, a couple of different ways to go after this. You can go to our website. So let me just pull that up here real quick. And on our website, go to our products page for BIM Manager Suite. And here you can go ahead and try it out for 14 days. Just set up an account, go ahead and download it. If you've already got an account, go ahead and download it. You'll get a trial that's good for 14 days, and TypeSwapper is fully functional within that trial. You can also go to the Autodesk App Store and get a trial that way on their page. If you have it and you want some more information, you want to see it put to use in a workflow, or just want to rewatch this video in the future, you can go to our YouTube channel, accessed here from our website. You can also access it from within the TypeSwapper application. There's a videos button up here at the top, which will bring you directly to a playlist on our YouTube channel that looks like this. And I just did a quick search for TypeSwapper. So here you can find all the different areas where this is showing up. And so you can just browse around, search for an app that you want to learn more about. You can go to a playlist. There's a playlist for TypeSwapper in here. There's one for BIM Manager Suite, and any other product that you could possibly ask for. And as you're doing that, if you come across questions, you got comments, you got feedback, or something along those lines, you can hit us up on support, sales, call us, or just send us a question, info@ctcsoftware.com. We're happy to help any way we possibly can. And make sure you get your questions answered. With that, we'll wrap it up. I want to thank you all for joining me today. It's been a pleasure. And look forward to seeing you at the next webinar. Take care, everybody.